What is up, my main man Garfield? So, while sleuthing through Letterboxd, I noticed that a good amount of movies had the same naming arrangement. The Man Who Did Something. There was The Man Who Knew Too Much, The Man Who Fell to Earth, The Man Who Knew Too Much, again. And as I kept noticing these, I thought, hey, wouldn't it be fun to watch all of these movies and rank them? So that's what I did. First though, we need to establish a couple of rules. First off, to fit with this silly naming convention, the movie title has to have between 2 and 3 words after The Man Who. Second, I'm only ranking movies with over 40,000 watches on Letterboxd, mainly because otherwise I'd be spending days trying to find the most obscure movies out there, and I don't want to do that. I know 40k is like a bit much, but I probably wouldn't have done this if I hadn't already seen the original Man Who Knew Too Much from 1934. So this is really the best you're gonna get, sorry. But anyway, let's get on to the ranking. Woo! Number 9, The Man Who Knew Infinity. Out of all the movies I had to watch for this ranking, I saved this one for last. That's because I didn't think I'd like it. And judging by the spot on the list, I think it's pretty obvious that I did not, in fact, like it. This movie's just a whole lot of melodrama. Before this movie, I knew nothing about Ramanujan's math, and after watching this movie, I still know nothing! We're told that Ramanujan is shaking up the math world, but it's never explained how, and it just creates a boring film. There's lots of these big moments where we're supposed to really feel something, feel for the characters, feel for their struggles, but we never get a chance to actually start caring about anything. We never learn anything about any of the characters beyond the most surface level of details. I don't care what happens to the characters because I don't care about the characters. I don't care about the characters because why would I? What likable traits do they have? What traits do they have at all? Well, there is one character with traits that I noticed. This movie is a biopic about Ramanujan, who I'm sure in real life was a lovely person. But this movie does not paint a kind picture of him. He is constantly unlikable. He has no humility. He's not humble. He refuses to listen to what anyone says, and when people try to help him, he lashes out at them. It's grating to hear the same thing said over and over again to him, and he just won't listen to it. It's not an awful movie or anything. It can even be decently entertaining. But it's an empty movie. One that I'll probably never think about again. Oh, also, I want to mention how well these movies use the Man Who naming format. And, I don't know, I guess this one does a decent job at it. I don't know. Number 8, The Man Who Knew Too Much, 1934. The Man Who Knew Too Much was created when Hitchcock was, by his own admission, an amateur. But I don't think that's any excuse for this movie not being that good. I mean, he made Blackmail, his first ever sound film, just 5 years earlier, and that's a way better movie. I just don't think Hitchcock was ready for this story. It's told in a very convoluted way that makes it oftentimes confusing. Maybe that's due in part to how short this film is, forcing a lot of information to be crammed in, but it's nonetheless an unpleasurable experience. There's some things I like, though. For 1934, this is a pretty violent film, and while the violence is probably unnecessary, it gives the film more of a bite than I would have expected. Also, there are a couple of standout scenes in this. If you hear someone talk about this movie, they're definitely going to mention the concert scene. And while I'm not as big of a fan of it as other people are, I still liked it a good bit. I also thought the dentist scene was really engaging, probably my favorite from the entire film. One final thing I wanted to mention is Peter Lorre's performance in this, because it is probably the most talked about thing about this movie, even more than the concert scene. And I mean, yeah, I guess he's pretty good. He's able to sell this conniving evildoer pretty well, but it's nothing insane or anything. Why is his performance talked about so much when Annie Andrews' performance in Blackmail isn't? She's so good in that movie. Go watch Blackmail right now and talk about how good Annie Andrews is in it. Go on, do it, now! Number 7, The Man Who Fell to Earth. Remember what I said about how I kept saying The Man Who all over the place? Well, the reason I even remembered it is because one day, I saw the name The Man Who Fell to Earth, and I thought, hey, that kinda sounds like the hit David Bowie song and album, The Man Who Sold the World. So I clicked on the film, and lo and behold, David Bowie is in the movie. So, of course, I immediately added this to my watch list, and then didn't watch it. I did remember it. All of that is to say that I was excited to finally watch this. But, is it just me, or did this not have a plot? I was pretty on board for the first half of this, actually. Character dynamics were being set up, and I was pretty intrigued with where everything was gonna go. And that just kinda didn't. Everything that was set up was abruptly put to a stop and new things and characters were introduced, before those two were forgotten about as more stuff was introduced, and eventually, I just stopped caring. I mean, why should I care about what's going on if it could just stop mattering in an instant? Once I stop caring about a film, I get bored, and that's the worst thing a film can do. This does have a few redeeming factors, though. Bowie's performance is really good. He's able to sell this cold, strange, and inhuman character really well. He's able to elevate scenes that would otherwise be unbearable and make them, well, bearable. Also, I think the score is pretty solid, but it's mainly due to the editing of this movie. Dude, the editing in this movie is insane! If the editing wasn't this good, this would probably be below The Man Who Knew Too Much. Scenes will just abruptly end as we hard cut to the next scene and suddenly music will be blasting in your ears. It makes the film feel like a fever dream. It's great. But this is a confusing and aimless movie that's saved by its editing. Also, this is the worst use of the Man Who format, as the name heavily implies that he's an alien, despite that being a mystery that's only revealed about an hour in? Like, what a stupid name. I don't like that. Number 6. The Man Who Killed Don Quixote. This movie took around 29 years to make, which is insane that it took that long. And I only tell you that because it's actually more interesting than anything that actually happens in this movie. What? This movie's a mess. There's something really interesting here about power, insanity, and how we can negatively affect others without even trying. It just happens to be buried under an aimless and somewhat confusing story where too many details are introduced without enough reason. Adam Driver is pretty good in it, though. He's funny and sells the descent into madness pretty well. The movie just doesn't focus enough on his actual descent for me to... Hey, why is Taxi Driver clips being shown? What the... Get out of here! Ugh! Oh, yeah. There's not enough focus on his descent for me to really care. The climax of this film is great, and if the rest of this was as good, this could have been a modern classic. But it wasn't, and thus, this movie is never talked about despite it only coming out in 2018. It also might be a teeny bit racist, but who am I to say? Oh, and the name of the movie is kinda neat knowing the ending, although it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Number 5. The Man Who Would Be King. Actually, there's 2 men, so points off for that. In all seriousness, this movie's really good. Sean Connery and Michael Caine have really great chemistry in this, and the story on screen is pretty gripping. It's a great cautionary tale about overconfidence, and I really liked it. My one complaint is that the pacing is pretty off. While the middle hour of this is gripping, I found the first and last 30 minutes to be a tad boring and much too long. But you know what the strangest thing about that is? This movie, despite being only a bit over 2 hours, feels too long, yet also feels very similar to Lawrence of Arabia. Like, both have sweeping shots of the desert, which were both filmed in Morocco. Both have the beginnings show the fates of the characters before the main events are told as a story from one character to another. And both follow British men going to a foreign desert country, uniting the people there, going to war, and ending up being worshipped as kings. You'd think that The Man Who Would Be King would have plagiarized. But the funniest part is that it's based on a book written in the 1800s. So, is this just a coincidence? Well, I guess we'll never know, unless someone decides to read the book. So I went to my local library and I got the book and read it. I'm so crazy! Ah! It was only 30 pages, it was not a big deal. So, what did I learn? Well, the original story didn't show the aftermath of the characters until near the middle, so that change to the entire thing being a story might have been lifted from Lawrence of Arabia, but that's really about it. I mean, the desert thing was kinda had to be. They're in a desert country, and yeah, I don't know. They were both just similar stories, with Lawrence's being a weird life-imitating art moment. That was way too long of a tangent. But anyways, this was a really good movie, and the scene where Dravid asks Peachy if he has ever seen a ruby that big, only for Peachy to pull out an even bigger ruby, comedy gold. Oh, and fun fact, just like Don Quixote from earlier, this movie took a really long time to make, beginning production all the way back in the 50s. Oh, and also I know I made the joke in the beginning, but only one of them did become king, so the name's pretty good. Number 4, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. It is so weird seeing a movie that came out in 1962 that takes place in the 1800s, where a character says, dude. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance is a really melancholic yet sweet movie about the clashing of ideals between law and order and freedom. I wouldn't go as far as to say that Stewart's character is the villain, as some others have said, but he is a representation of the changing times. The violence of the West being replaced with the order that comes with statehood seems great on paper, but it hides the fact that there are 100 Liberty Valance-type bureaucrats trying to harm innocent people so they can get extra money and power. The movie doesn't show us the Liberty Valance of a civilized society, because we've all seen his many forms in reality. But this movie's really great. Also, this has the best name out of any of these movies, as it gives a central mystery of who shot Liberty Valance I thought about the entire time while watching this. Number 3, The Man Who Wasn't There. This movie is a depressing quest to escape the mundanity of everyday life. Like most Coen brother movies, this becomes a comedy of errors where everything bad that could happen does happen. None of Crane's actions makes him deserve the fate in the end, and that's what's so haunting about this. A simple wanting for something more from life can escalate to this. The acting in this movie is phenomenal, with everyone bringing their A game, packing so much emotion into every line delivery. The set design in this is really great as well. Rather than just filming in an actual town like most movies today would do, the town is entirely a set, with everything just feeling slightly off. It's almost normal, almost livable, almost. The lighting in this is kind of weird though, because for every scene with great contrast, like when Big Dave confronts Crane, there's another scene where everything is this dull light gray where everything blends together. But maybe that's the point, showing how his regular life is dull with every moment blending together, versus the new exciting life he's trying to make where everything stands out. But I'd have to rewatch the entire movie to see if that's actually true. Like, I don't want to do that. But if that was the intention, then that's actually really cool. The name for this sucks though, like, what was he not there for? I don't get it. At least it doesn't spoil the movie. I've just got one last question. What kind of a man are you? Number 2, The Man Who Knew Too Little. After 2 really serious movies, it's kinda nice to just talk about something goofy like this. Like, why has no one seen this movie? It's so much fun and so funny. Bill Murray is mistaken for a spy and goes on a mission to save important people. I think that's what the plot of Cars 2 is as well, but I haven't seen that movie, so I wouldn't know. This movie is super contrived, and the amount of things that had to go right for this to happen makes it incredibly unrealistic. But at the same time, this is a dumb comedy, and so I can suspend my disbelief way further than otherwise possible. I'm not meant to take any of this seriously, so I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna have fun. This movie isn't like high art or anything, but it's super entertaining, and I like being entertained. And good use of the Man Who formula, because he did not know shit the entire time. Number 1, The Man Who Knew Too Much. Again. There's this quote from Akira Kurosawa that goes like, with a good script, a good director can produce a masterpiece. With the same script, a mediocre director can produce a passable film. And isn't that just perfect? Hitchcock in the 30s was not a great director. Like, sure, I was talking big game about blackmail, that's still not an incredible film or anything. Other than that, he doesn't really have much else that's noteworthy. Now, flash forward to the 50s, and Hitchcock is in his prime. Dial M for Murder and Rear Window in the same year, and later in the decade, he'd make Vertigo and North by Northwest. And right in the middle of all that is the oft-forgotten The Man Who Knew Too Much. And that is just such a shame, because this is right up there with the others as being an incredible film. Where the original was incoherent and confusing, this lets us know every detail, so I'm never confused. But they don't reveal every detail at once. Everything is spaced out, creating intrigue from beginning to end. If I had to complain, then I'd say the beginning is a bit slow, but still super exciting because you're always wondering who you can trust, and once the story gets going, it doesn't let up. I was at the edge of my seat the entire time, and me being excited is one thing, but the crazy part is that I had already seen the original 1934 version. I knew the story beats, I knew how this was gonna end, yet I was still fully engrossed in this exhilarating film. Jimmy Stewart and Doris Day both give excellent performances in this. Stewart is putting on this fake tough guy persona, talking a big game, but he's honestly pretty pathetic in this, which makes for some great comedic bits. But there's layers to the performance. You can tell that he really does care about his wife and son, and will do anything to help. And Day's performance is great too. It's full of emotion, not just in the crying scenes, but in every scene that she's in. And speaking of scenes that she's in, the concert hall scene is genuinely perfect. Like, I was a bit skeptical after not being the most impressed by the 34 version, but damn, this was visual storytelling at its finest. The entire time I was on the edge of my seat as we hear the symphony play and tension builds and builds. It keeps cutting between the symphony, the assassin, Stuart desperately trying to save the Prime Minister, and Day as she gets more and more worried. If any element from the scene were taken away, if any part was held on to for even a second longer, it would have become overly long and boring. But instead, this is a perfect combination that is one of the best sequences in any film I've ever seen. If there's one thing to take away from this video, it's that you should watch this movie, as it's incredible. And I think The Man Who Knew Too Much is a pretty good name for this, and also the original. After all, the events of this movie are caused because he did know too much. And that's the video. Hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it, and I hope you check out some of these movies as around half of them are really good. Oh, and Blackmail. You should watch that as well. Anyways, I've been Mason, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.